Halo. Now, there is a topic I've never expected to be addressing, but sometimes things happen that way. Even though I've openly made to be more into Metroid Prime Star Wars Battlefront growing up, I even I understand the appeal of it. I mean, the first three installments in 2001, 2004, and 2007 managed to, with its first trilogy, effectively change the course not just its medium but also pop culture as a whole, much like Star Wars, and all the installments since then have generated, shall we say, an immense amount of discussion online about their merits, or demerits. Again, much like Star Wars. However, there was another parallel I'd like to point out that even in the eyes of non-fans, that the second installment arguably set the bench for quality for years to come. So, with that on the table, here is why Halo 2 is easily my favorite installment. So, let's get started. Normally, I would put this point a bit lower on the list, but given how it's often the first thing I think of when I think of this game, it definitely stands to reason that would be, in terms of the experience, hence the installment I've enjoyed playing the most with other people, including the individual dedicated this to. Just no matter what map or weapon combination you're doing, I tend to lean into like the Needler and the Magnum. It just has an appeal which I cannot even begin to state my enjoyment of at all. And even having the amount of custom modes and other games could be done, and as well, like the whole Halloween style one where you had one player with a knife representing Michael Myers, and everyone else with like the pistol representing the victims. That's and even piping in the music in there. It just is one of the many reasons I'm going to be outlining on why this game still remains easily my favorite installment. So let's keep going. I know I just mentioned this, but even though I may not be as big a fan of the first Halo as other people tend to be, I definitely understand its appeal and why it became a success in hindsight. Right, and also why I invoked the Empire Strikes Back comparison at the beginning of this video, where it built on the strengths of New Hope and moved the story and the saga even further, which is definitely a point that'll be expanded upon in the other ones in this video, especially in the sense where, but even on a basic level, the gameplay elements that worked about the first one were definitely expanded upon here. Everything from even simple things like the traversal to even elements like dual wielding that just become so intrinsically linked with the game are just feel so natural. Even the developers themselves admitted that the best gameplay are essentially like a loop of the same 15 over and over, or words that effect, and this is true for many titles, this one included, in which is especially true for the other elements I will be getting into from the third onward, yes. So, this is another element that helps the game really stand out. I know that's not the only example of this, all these expanding universe novels and other content, but it definitely expounded upon the significance of the Halo itself and why I, the prophets wanted why the foreigners built it. and Chief's role in all of this. I mean, and I'll definitely be expanding upon this and the other points, but this definitely is a good demonstration about why I share the belief of a great many that the Chief tend to work best as a cipher. Anyone can imagine themselves in that armor, and definitely how everything just seems to who compound on each other, and how it managed to who expand upon the world itself. So, and on to the second half of this, especially. This is common in the case of any sequel to a game, but it's definitely one of the most evident cases I've seen with this one, where everything just seems to click even more than it did the first time around. You know what I mean? Where I've seen my fair share of this happen, and especially even in distance shooters alone, like how like my Battlefront 2 2005 video that I did last year about the subject, that especially he is a good example of this, he where it's also one my brother and I enjoyed quite a lot when he was around. I mean, and that's but not just in the case of the multiplayer, as I mentioned earlier about the campaign. It just seemed to really come together with everything from the weapons to vehicles to whether it was online or local multiplayer. It just seemed very spot on, and just one of many elements that just manages to make this game work so effectively, especially for someone like me who is not the biggest fan, but really appreciates what this one has done. This is one of the more noticeable upgrades from the first title. I mean, like, even before like the remasters came along, on just it's incredible to see what happened short time, even given this where like the chief went from having mittens to having individual fingers, hers on his armor, or like the feet could actually bend, the visor on his helmet, more detailing on it, and just see more detail in the world itself, and the weapons, the vehicles, the almost even his AI companion Cortana. Uh, Definitely seeing something an upgrade, and but even with me putting this further down the list, arguably the biggest reason why we have installments is definitely going to be helping close us out. So here we go. 2004 was a pretty impactful year of video games, I would say. I mean, on top of this title, there were major heavy hitters like Metro Prime 2 Echo, San Andreas, yes, and the whole new console generation looming as well. And even though it's clear that the developers were are working on the next installment almost the day the first hit shelves, the actual development cycle all took all of 10 months, which even in 2004 seems like a very risky amount of time to have like a from start to finish, but yet by some miracle they not only managed to pull it off, they made arguably a, the best installment in the franchise, one that's yet to truly be topped, and also impacted in how games as a whole can be like. Even people like me openly admits that they're not huge fans have an immense admiration for this game, and where Given how much it managed to truly change the space, and also managed to push the original Xbox to its limits before the 360 came out the following year, let alone other ones. And that is definitely something to be proud of, as is the impact it's left on Microsoft and people as a whole. So, yeah. It's maybe the first time I've actually truly made any Halo-related content, and depending on how this video does, it might not be the last either. That is why Halo 2 is easily my favorite installment in the series. By the time you're seeing this, yes, it would have been my brother Sean's 25th birthday, and wherever he is, I'll say that this is for you. And I will definitely see you all again soon. Thank you for letting me share this with you all. Take care, everyone.